How would you feel about playing a game that looks like this? I mean, just look at the details and unique facial expression. A true piece of art, am I right? Okay, jokes aside, let's agree that this doesn't look too great. For a pure shitpost game, it might be fine, but for an immersive RPG, it's not really what you might expect. But this is really what one of the earliest builds of the game looked like. Hi, I'm Wogglawooh, and welcome to another devlog for our RPG Mistwinter Bay. Today I'd like to talk about the evolution of the game, from early prototype to the current version. Making a game takes time, especially if you want to do it well. It's important to get the basic gameplay down first before focusing on any details. The footage you're looking at is from October 2021, and it's one of the earliest builds of the game. It's certainly not pretty, but it has the core features of the final game. Dialogue, the city view, kind of. Hangout with the characters, a character creator, gift giving, etc. When making a game, especially your first game, it's easy to get carried away with graphics. I'm guilty of this since I'm literally a graphic artist, but a good game doesn't need to rely on good graphics. A game with good graphics is impressive for about 3 months, while a game with good gameplay is impressive forever. In the beginning, it's good to have an idea of what kind of art direction you want to continue in later, but until the game is playable, you're better off sticking with placeholders like we've done here. And bear in mind, this game is pretty dependent on its art, but in the early stages it's just not worth focusing on, because there are more pressing matters to attend to. For example, a save and load system, main menu, the ability to choose dialogue options, and much more. It wasn't until December 2021 that the art for the first character was implemented. The work for the characters actually started during an assignment in school. We were allowed to do whatever we wanted pretty much, and I decided to start working on the art for the game. Simultaneously, my brother started working on the town view, but I'll let him talk more about that in another video, because more than 200 hours went into making that. Back to the characters. The honored nominee for first character was Empress Ophelia. My brother had made a concept sketch for her to get me started, and I simply sat down and worked my magic. Unfortunately, I have no footage of actually making her, but there's not much to do about that now. However, what I can do is show you the finished version in Clip Studio Paint. The characters are drawn in separated layers in order to animate them in the game engine. They basically have a body without a face, and then the face is added on top with the right expression. I've mainly used one multiply layer for shading and then a glow dodge layer for light. The light comes from the upper left for all characters to keep it uniform. The highlights have 2 different colors depending on which side it's on. For the main light, I used a blue, and for the bounce light, or whatever I should call it, I used a green color. The green light really makes the characters look more 3D. On top of that, I added another glow dodge layer to create the Terminator. Despite the slightly scary name, it's just a bit of subsurface scattering to make skin look like it's actually skin. It's pretty much red light along the shadows of the skin areas. In order to really bring the characters to life, I decided to animate the eyes so that they can blink. Recently, we decided to animate the mouth as well to make it easier to see which character is talking, so I'm currently reworking the old characters' expressions. This entailed me re-exporting over 300 images, but let's not get into that. It hurts to think about. When first making the expressions, I looked at this chart that my brother made to show the characters' personalities, because different people express themselves in different ways. My brother is the one who has written the characters and the main story as well, along with most of the events, so the expression chart made it easier for me to understand the characters that I didn't come up with from scratch. Aside from Ophelia and the Gravekeeper, Edwin, I have made all the character designs for the game. That has definitely been the most fun process for me. Coming up with new looks really makes the characters come alive. However, it's also fun to make proper artworks of pre-made designs, like Ophelia and Edwin. Even for the characters I make myself, they always evolve slightly from sketch to final artwork. Look for example at this guy's clothes. I changed the color slightly and the final one looks much better. Other characters don't change at all from first concept to finished image, like Ureg. Having to change something is never a bad thing, it's just a bit more work to make your game even better. The characters slowly started getting implemented as I finished them. Along with the characters, the town view and the UI were moving along as well since my brother was working on them. All of this took a couple months to finish since we both had schoolwork to do at the time. Once all of that was done, I began drawing the main character. It's possible to create your own character in Mistwinter Bay, so I had to create lots of different variations of hair, faces, clothes and accessories. It was very tricky, especially the hair, because the front of the hair should preferably fit with all versions of the back of the hair, which is a lot easier said than done. On top of that, like literally on top of that, there should be a crown. And the crown should look fairly natural on top of the hair, but should also look natural if you choose not to have any hair at all. It was a struggle, but eventually we had a functioning character creator. I've had my brother make a dress-up game before, so we both already knew how to make it work properly with the different parts and so on. A bit more recently, say around May 2022, I started working on the backgrounds and the various event pictures so that we could replace the beautiful placeholders my brother had made. Currently there are 27 event pictures and there will be many more in the future, which is why we opted for a more simple style for them. Every event is going to have its own picture. As of now, there are only 3 different backgrounds in the game, some of which have a day and night variation. There's the throne room, the inn where you meet your new characters, and also a dressing room where you get to create your character. These backgrounds suffice for what's in the demo of the game. However, we have more backgrounds planned for the future to give more variation. I haven't started working on them yet though. There's a lot to do before the game's demo release, which actually is coming up fairly soon. Make sure to subscribe to not miss future videos and to be able to play the demo once it gets released. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and feel free to leave your thoughts and questions in the comments. If you watched the whole video to this point, let me know what you had for breakfast. That's all for now. I hope to see you next time for more Mistwinter Bay content.